Hey guys, it's Holly, so better late than never, as today I'm finally looking at the LEGO Star Wars Advent Calendar for 2020. Now this is my first LEGO Star Wars Advent Calendar. I haven't bought one of these before. I've had a few of the city ones. I had the Harry Potter one last year. I bought the Harry Potter one this year, but this is my first LEGO Star Wars one ever, and when I saw it, I was really impressed by the builds and the minifigures, and upon looking at the box, I'm actually surprised at how many of the days they spoiled. Because if you guys didn't see my Harry Potter review, what I do with my advent calendars is I basically show you all of the builds that are shown on the outside of the box. That way there's no spoilers for any of the surprises inside, and then afterwards I will give you a spoiler warning for the rest of them. And in fact, there was only 3 builds that weren't on the outside of the box, which is mind-blowing. I don't know why they've spoiled so many of them. But one of the reasons why I wanted to get Star Wars particularly this year, besides the fact that I started collecting LEGO Star Wars this year, is for these Christmas jumper prints on the torsos. I love them so much, and also a lot of the mini builds looked adorable. I love the Christmas gong droid and the Christmas tauntaun. So the advent calendars retail for $40 and 50 Australian, and they are starting to sell out online. So if you are looking for one, you've left it last minute, you should be able to get one on sale from a retail store. So let's take a look at it now. So here is the spoiler-free overview of the LEGO Star Wars advent calendar, and honestly, after looking at the front, the back, and the inside of the box, there is all but 4 days that are spoiled on the packaging of this calendar. So if you're someone who likes surprises, LEGO Star Wars definitely hasn't gotten your back. So I can pretty much show you almost everything, and for those who do want to see everything, yeah, there's only 4 and I will show them at the very end, but here is everything you get that you already see on the box. And as a whole, as someone who's kind of like briefly looked at LEGO Star Wars advent calendars but never really bought one before, just looking at it, I really like it. There aren't too many weak builds, at least in my opinion, and as someone who doesn't have a lot of like the sequel sets or Star Wars sets in general, I think you get a fantastic variety of minifigures, and there's definitely quite a few in here that I don't have, which I'm really excited for. So let's take a close look at it. So first up is my favorite figure, and what I imagine as well to be quite a lot of people's favorite figures from this advent calendar, and that is the Christmas Darth Vader. Now firstly, when I saw this, I didn't have a Darth Vader minifigure, so I was really excited to get my hands on this, just mainly so that I had the cowl and the legs and the face, but I also really fell in love with the Death Star Christmas jumper. I absolutely love this print so much, and I would love to see more stuff like this in the future. Now, besides the jumper, everything in Darth Vader is pretty much as standard as the 2021s. The Christmas jumper also has back printing, which I'm really glad about, because I think you could then use this without the cape and it would still look fantastic. And honestly, I probably will repurpose it and I'll swap it out and just stick it on maybe like a version of me or something like that, one of my sig figs, or just any minifigure in general. So I'm really glad that they did do that, and hands down, probably one of the best things you get out of this advent calendar. The build I was most looking forward to in this set is hands down the Razor Crest, and this is our first LEGO microscale Razor Crest, and I really like how this turned out. I put it next to the ship itself in my Razor Crest review, and it shocked me how similar it was to the actual LEGO build, and that's something I really appreciate with stuff like this, is how close they actually look to the life-size playset like type of model. And just like the actual set itself, I'm surprised with how long this thing is, and I guess that's just a thing with the Razor Crest I never really noticed in the show until I had the actual set in my hands. But overall, I really like this build, and I think it's definitely one of the best ones that come in the advent calendar. Next up, we have a snow speeder, and I'm glad this is in this set, considering, you know, Hoth's a snowy planet, Christmas is known to be a snowy time. Cute build, really small piece usage, and I'm surprised at how good it looks. Like a lot of the builds in this set, I'm really happy about it. Looks really cute. I mean, you can't really say no to a snow speeder. Like, tons of people like the Empire Strikes Back, including myself, so I'm not going to complain. One little guy you've definitely seen before is the Porg, and you do get one in this set, and this is my first Porg along with a lot of the other things in this set, so I'm really happy to get one, and I love the printing on his head. It looks absolutely adorable. Next up, we have LEGO's favorite ship to build besides Luke's land speeder, and that is an X-Wing, and you know, this is surprisingly massive. I have never had a Star Wars advent calendar, so I've never had a Star Wars advent calendar X-Wing, and this shocked me at how
good it looks, but also how large it is, especially when you compare it to a lot of the other builds. I really like it, and I think it looks really good, and I'm surprised at how smoothed off it is for such a tiny build. So that made me really happy when building it, and it was really easy to put together as well. Next up, we get the Sith Trooper, and I personally don't have any of these in my collection, so I'm really happy to get him in the advent calendar. And I didn't realize how much intricate printing there actually is on this figure, especially in the helmet. There are all of these fine lines and details, and it looks absolutely amazing. I also love the torso and leg prints. I think they look fantastic. Same with the back printing, and he comes with a classic black blaster, and then underneath his helmet we get the classic angry clone face. Even though they have changed this face, I don't have too many angry clone heads to begin with, so I don't really mind. I mean, it's just gonna be hidden under the helmet for me anyway, so I really don't have any opinion on that. One build that really surprised me in the advent calendar was the A-Wing. Now, I recently managed to get my hands on the Death Star 2 A-Wing promotion, May the 4th from this year, and I built it, and overall, I think the set definitely got criticized a bit too harshly because of the fact that it was a May the 4th promo. Admittedly, I did not like the A-Wing design in that set. I think it looked really funny. It just didn't look right, whereas this one looks so accurate to the actual A-Wing. Like, if I put that up against the UCS one, it would look incredible next to it, and that's something, like I said with the Razor Crest, that I really like to see with mini builds like this. So this one definitely blew me away. I didn't expect it to look as good as it did, and I definitely want to do a mock or something using this, or even just put it on display. I feel like having a lot of these mini builds, even now that I think about it, in one of my minifigure frames would be really cool to do. I don't know how I would do it, but I feel like that would be quite fun to actually just try out and see how it goes. One of the builds I know a lot of people, including myself, were really excited for was the Christmas gonk droid, and I think something like this is just perfect for an advent calendar. I love seeing Christmas themed things like this, and to have a gonk droid as well, like a good old meme, we love a good gonk droid, is just absolutely hilarious, and I think it works really, really well. The build's really simple as well, so you could very easily make multiples of these if you just had the pieces lying around from old advent calendars, or even buy them off Bricklink. You could have an army of Christmas gonk droids, and I feel like that would be pretty cool. Speaking of Christmas eyes, is that even a word? I don't know. We have Dio up next, and this is really simple. He's literally just standing on a plate, and then they've stuck a stud and a Santa hat. Something I've noticed on quite a few Santa hats is there's this weird printing that kind of goes on where the red kind of bleeds onto the white almost. It just doesn't quite look right. I mean, from far away it's not too bad, but when I looked at it up close, it did look kind of funky, so I thought I'd just let you know, as that's something to note. One figure, however, that I'm not happy to get multiples of is Farm Boy Luke. I feel like we've gotten so many of these this year, and as someone who's only started collecting Lego Star Wars since May, I'm pretty sure at this point I've got 4, and I know there was one in the new UCS Mos Eisley as well, which does make sense. It's what he wore here, but the fact that we just keep getting so many of them, and that Farm Boy Luke is the promo for the Skywalker saga next year, it's ridiculous why they would put him in an advent calendar. Like, it's blowing my mind, honestly, especially with so many sets from A New Hope this year. Like, I'm just sick of him, and I've only been collecting, like I said, since May, so if I'm sick of him, I can't imagine how you guys all must feel. Another one of my favorite builds in this set definitely has to be the tiny weeny Obi-Wan's hut. I really like how this turned out, and considering how small it is and how minimal pieces there are, it's incredible how close they actually got it, and I really, really like it, even though it is so tiny and so small, and I don't know where I'm going to use it or what I'm going to do with something like this. I think it looks really accurate and looks really, really cute. Up next is the classic battle droid, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you've already got tons of these. I personally don't, and I would love to have a massive battle droid army, so I'm really excited to get another one of him as well. And he does come with the chrome silver blaster, which I find really interesting, as my only other battle droids that look exactly like this are from the 5 of First Battle pack, which had black blasters. So I'm not too sure why that is the case. Maybe I'll swap it out with the Sith Trooper or the Stormtrooper, I'm not too sure, but either way, I'm really happy to get him. I know he is quite cheap though, so not too many people may be happy, but I guess it's a battle droid. You can build an army. It's a pretty good thing to get a multiple of. To me, unfortunately, the Millennium Falcon is definitely the worst build in this advent calendar. It is so flat, and it was also incredibly difficult to build. Like, just look at that. It looks like a pancake. I think overall, if you look at it from the top, the design's really nice, and then you just plop it down like that and you get really disappointed. The instructions for this were really hard to understand and not very clear at all. Like, there were a lot of different pieces and sections, and I definitely did take a while to build this, and I definitely did make a few mistakes as well. I think if they were going to do this, I definitely would have raised this top section up just by one plate. I feel like that would have fixed it. And I know the Millennium Falcon is quite a flat ship, but this just looks ridiculous. The final of the Christmas-ized builds includes a Christmas Tauntaun with a red nose, and this is just adorable. This is the stuff I love to see, and I think it works really well having like a Rudolph Tauntaun. I absolutely love it, and the build for him is also really cool, and I love the surprising amount of like large pieces, like these light bluish gray slopes here. Like, we usually don't see stuff like that in micro builds like this, so it's awesome to get some of them in this build too. Up next, we've got the good old Stormtrooper, and once again, I'm really happy to have him, as I do want to have multiple Stormtroopers, especially of these new helmets, as that's pretty much the only Stormtrooper I have, so I really don't mind. As much as I think the helmet does look kind of oversized and awkward, I'd rather just get a bunch of new Stormtrooper helmets, kind of then mixing them up and having a mixture of both in my Stormtrooper army that I want to build. So especially to have a Stormtrooper in an advent calendar like this, perfect thing for me. Let's build some armies. Let's go. Next up is this little build, which I believe is a Republic cruiser, although I have no idea. I've said this before, I have not seen the prequels in a while, so please forgive me. But I definitely recognize this ship from the films, and from what I remember, it looks very accurate. My only complaint is because of the way the ship is designed, and this is Star Wars' fault, not Lego's. It doesn't sit flat. I guess you could stick a lightsaber wand or something like that in the bottom and kind of make a stand for it or something like that, or even one of those like superheroes minifigure stands. I think that would be another great thing to kind of make it stand upright. One of the other great exclusive figures from this set is the Christmas Poe Dameron, and a lot of people like him for the same reason as Vader. He has a unique 8-bit ugly Christmas sweater, so if you move the cup out of the way, you can get a better look at it, and it looks absolutely amazing. It's got BB-8 printed on it, and I love how it's a green when we get some alternating colors, and just like Darth Vader, he also has back printing, and I just love these Christmas jumpers. I can't express how good they are. Next up, we have Rey, and I feel like she's kind of similar to Luke, where quite a lot of people would have quite a few multiples of her. I don't have a Rey, as the only sequel set I have is the Rise of Skywalker Millennium Falcon, so I'm pretty happy to have her. Rey's printing on her torso and legs is really nice like always, and she also has her angry alternate face, although just like Poe, because it's Christmas, I don't want any angry faces going around. I want smiles only. Yes, we're gonna force happiness and Christmas, just kidding. Next up is another ship that I don't completely know the name of correctly, but I'm pretty sure this is some sort of Imperial TIE fighter, although whenever I think of TIE fighter, I just think of the square ones and not the pointy ones. I know this is some sort of Imperial ship though, and I think it looks really good. So we're on a roll with things that I don't know the name of, but I know that this little droid is from the prequels. That's as much as I know. I love the build of him. The only thing I'd say is it's kind of top heavy because of his flimsy legs, and I've just knocked over him quite a few times, but you know, that's just me being really clumsy and using one hand as well. I feel like if you're actually using this to play around with, you'll be absolutely fine. And I'm glad that we got a buildable droid like this instead of just another micro build. I like how they're mixing it up in this advent calendar and kind of giving us a different variety of things. So here is the last one that we have seen on the box, so that ends pretty much the entire spoiler-free advent calendar. So now there are 4 more ships, and if you don't mind them being spoiled, you can continue watching. Otherwise, I would highly recommend turning this video off and saving it for when you get the advent calendar yourself. So first up is one of the best looking builds out of the advent calendar, and that is Darth Vader's castle, including this tiny weeny TIE fighter. I think it looks absolutely amazing. Maybe that's not a TIE fighter, now I've forgotten. Well, anyway, we know I'm not the best with Star Wars names, but I love the build of this. I think the giant playset in general looked incredible, and to have this look so good as well on a tiny weeny scale is incredible, and the amount of minimal pieces used for this as well blows my mind, and this is definitely one of my favorites in this set. Next up is probably the build that kind of confuses me the most, and that is the Hoth shield generators, and I don't know why they're in this build besides the fact that it is Hoth. It's like there are no other references to Hoth besides the Tauntaun and the Snowspeeder. I guess that's actually quite a few references to Hoth, never mind now that I think about it. So I don't get quite why it's here, but nevertheless, it's a neat inclusion and I think it looks pretty cool. One of the builds that like I don't completely love, but I also don't completely hate is the Tantive 4 Never mind, now that I think of this, this is not the Tantive 4, this is another ship I don't know the name of. Yay! And because of that, I don't really have any comments on it. Please let me know the name of this ship down below. I'm pretty sure this is like some droid control ship, or maybe this is the Republic cruiser. I know there's definitely a Republic cruiser in this advent calendar. Let me know, but either way, build technique is pretty cool, and I love getting dark red pieces, so that's a plus, but yeah, I don't know if it's accurate or not, so please let me know. And finally, we have one of my favorite vehicles out of the entirety of Star Wars, and that is Anakin's pod racer. And admittedly, this build I feel like could be better. I mean, you can tell that it's Anakin's pod racer, so I guess it does its job, but I just feel like it could be so much better for what it is. There's not really too much to it. There's some interesting parts to it. It was a simple build, but yeah, I mean, you can tell it's Anakin's pod racer, but like, it's not the best, not great, but it's not awful either. Here is the entirety of the LEGO Star Wars 2020 Advent Calendar, and overall, I really liked it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with too many of these mini builds. There's definitely a few, especially like the Christmas themed ones, like the Christmas gong. I'm definitely gonna keep them in like a box purely for Christmas stuff. Things like Rey, I'm gonna put into my Star Wars frames because I don't have her. Same with the Sith Trooper, and then the Battle Droid and the Stormtrooper I'm really excited to get because I do want to have quite a few of them. I absolutely love those Christmas jumpers, and I'll put them in a Star Wars box as well. The Porg is also another one, but in terms of like all of the mini builds, I don't know how many of them I'm going to keep up. I might try and utilize them in like a mini or like micro scale mock similar to those like the battle on Endor and the Death Star battle and the battle on Hoth. I want to do stuff like that. But overall, I really liked the advent calendar. It was a pleasant surprise, and I'm glad that this was my first LEGO Star Wars advent calendar. I don't know if I'm going to continue to get them every single year. I guess with Star Wars in particular, it kind of depends on what there is inside it, because personally, if they're going to keep doing Harry Potter ones, I'm going to pick them first over Star Wars, as much as I do love Star Wars. But I really liked this calendar, and it's definitely one of the best that they've done in a while, so I'm excited to see what they do in the future for LEGO Star Wars advent calendars. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel down below, and until next time, I'll see you later.